Let's take it to the ACC, the top, not yet the top 10 players in the ACC of 2018, but we're going to see those who just missed the cut. So we're going to bring that up on screen right now. First up, we've got Kelly Bryant, quarterback for Clemson, you guys.
I don't think Kelly Bryant's that good. I'll say it right now, and I'm sorry, Clemson fans.
We can debate.
And I've mentioned this multiple times, and the emergence of Tua has only encouraged that on my end. I don't think Kelly Bryant's that great of a quarterback. Like, he can run like Jalen Hurts, but he's not a great thrower, and we saw him get exposed against Alabama. So if I'm Clemson, you got Trevor Lawrence, and you got all these young, talented recruits that you've brought in. Make the turn to them. I would rather see one of those guys than just trying out Kelly Bryant, who I know is experienced, but doesn't give you the passing ability.
And then next up, we got Ahmmon Richards from Miami, Mitch Hyatt for Clemson as well, Michael Jackson for Miami, and Kelvin Harmon for NC State.
Harmon had a hell of a year, by the way.
Michael Jackson's got my vote, that's for sure.
That's just because of the name,
of course, obviously.
Okay, you guys, well, let's go ahead and get into the top 10 now. First up, we got DeAndre Francois, quarterback for FSU. You guys, do you think Francois, though, will get the starting position after pretty great year for James Blackman?
No, Blackman's year was not that good. Everyone in the bowl game was like, oh, maybe James Blackman will be the starter. I'm like, he's torching Southern Miss. Whoop-de-doo. Like, you go back to Francois, who had you kind of in the game against Alabama, and we saw it a much better freshman year than Blackman did. So I don't understand where this Blackman is good stuff is coming from. Blackman needs a year because he's like 165 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Francois stats as a redshirt freshman in 2016. Over 3,000 yards, 20 TDs to only 7 interceptions. He should and will get the starting position. And I'm excited to see what he does in a little more opened up offense. Willie Taggart runs more of a spread, a little wide open. Jimbo Fisher wanted to stick in more of a pro style, sometimes a passing pro style, but I think Francois will fit the Taggart offense just like Justin Herbert did at Oregon for the first half of the season in 2017. And I expect Francois to have a big year. And anytime he's one of these guys, we might be saying, wow, we put him at number 10. He could end up being the ACC MVP.
Absolutely could.
If he has 2 years better of growth for the over 16 in 2018 with a new staff.
Let's keep rolling here, you guys. Coming in at number 9 on our top 10 ACC players of 2018, we got Giles-Harris, linebacker for Duke.
Duke does have a football team, first note, and I jest, of course, there. But I think when it comes to Duke, we are often overlooked on these players, and Giles-Harris was a fantastic linebacker for Duke, first team All-ACC. He's well deserving of a top 10 spot.
All right, let's move on now to number 8. We got Shaq Quarterman, linebacker for Miami. Guys, will the U be back in 2018 as well?
I think the U is kind of already back. And when it comes to Quarterman, he was one of the best linebackers in all of college football last year. I think he got overlooked because some other players like Roquan Smith in the ACC as well. Tremaine Edmonds, who is a stud as well. With Quarterman, he'll be a Buckus Award candidate again this year. Very talented player, part of a very young and talented Miami defensive unit that's going to be great again next year.
Is he going to be wearing the turnover chain is what I want to know. Great name, Shaq Quarterman. Can you have a better name for like a Miami linebacker than that? I think this guy was built to just wear the turnover chain to bed every night. But big year for him last year. Expect more from him coming up as a junior in 2018.
All right, coming in at number 7, you guys, we got Josh Jackson, Virginia Tech's quarterback.
He had a fantastic year for the Hokies. I was actually a little bit concerned about Virginia Tech entering last year because I didn't know how good Josh Jackson was going to be. Turns out he's a very good player. Yeah. And I loved what I saw out of Jackson. I think he's going to have another strong year. Needs to get a little bit better in terms of consistency, which does make sense as a freshman quarterback, but I was very impressed by Jackson. He and Virginia Tech are going to be a very good team this year.
Yeah, we saw that on screen, the Michael Vick record. That's, of course, that's the team record. That's not like a national record or anything like that. So Vick had a big season. Where did Vick go in his redshirt freshman year? Well, he went to the national championship game in 1999 against Florida State. So big numbers for Jackson to be able to put that up. Tom, we had him in our Heisman Trophy list, short list, first 4 or 5 games of the season until that Clemson game when they finally lost, and he was, I would say exposed, but wasn't putting up 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Showed that it was Clemson.
Yeah, exactly, against other teams. But if we see growth out of him, we could see another big year in 2018, and he's got multiple years left. He's not a guy I think is going to go pro early, so we might see him for 3 more seasons.
Agreed.
All right, keeping it rolling, you guys. We got last year's ACC Rookie of the Year, A.J. Dillon, running back for Boston College.
James, you know about A.J. Dillon because he almost went to Michigan.
Well, not only did he almost went to Michigan, he was a longtime Michigan commit, and after they continue to pursue Giles-Harris, he decided to look elsewhere, went to Boston College. Big mistake on Jim Harbaugh's part, but what a year for him. 1,600 yards. And where do these freshmen coming back, running backs come from, Tom? He's from the same part of the world, kind of that northeast that Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin is. These underrated guys who play in these small states in the Northeast, coming in and kind of wrecking college football in 2017. Going to have big years in 2018. Had he been on a better team, guys, he could have been way higher on this list. And he might even be a Heisman candidate had he not been on Boston College. Let's say if he was on Clemson or Florida State or Miami or something like that.
Unheralded player, but dang good.
Yeah, getting into our top 5 now, you guys. Ryan Finley, quarterback for NC State. Tom, what do you want to see from him this upcoming season?
I think I'd like to see him do a little bit more because Finley has a lot of fans, I'll say, in the NFL world. There was some buzz he could go pro, ended up not. I thought that was best decision. The yards and the accuracy are there, same with the lack of turnovers, but I would like to see a few more touchdowns. Nyheim Hines leaves for the NFL from NC State. I think Finley's going to take that next step forward. He's a guy to watch if you're a big NFL draft fan. With Finley, he was always a CNM member ahead of Kelly Bryant. That's why he makes the list over Bryant as well.
Yeah, I mean, what a year by him, Tom. Got the third-team All-ACC mark, and you expect big things to come back from him this year. His stats are certainly impressive, guys. 3,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, though. Didn't put the ball enough in the end zone for me to really give him higher accolades, get him up in the 1, 2, 3 ranking. And we see when those 1, 2, 3 guys are. It's 3 guys who are kind of anchoring the same defensive unit on one team. And we're going to just talk about how ridiculous that lineup is going to be this year. But Finley at 5, I think, is an apt place for him at this point.
All right, coming in at number 4, you guys, we got Cam Akers, running back for FSU. He had a phenomenal 2017 season. Also broke Dalvin Cook's freshman rushing record that he set in 2014 at FSU.
I know that Patrick comes back for FSU. I would kind of like to see just Cam Akers get all of the touches. Like, I think he's that talented of a halfback. I think he can be a Dalvin Cook level player for FSU.
Tom, I consider putting him on our top 5 Heisman list. I really did look at him as a potential Heisman Trophy candidate because you come in and you have 1,000 yards, and he didn't get tons. I mean, he wasn't like he was toting the rock 30 times a game or anything like that to get to those yards. So I expect him to be Heisman level for the next couple of years, definitely an early entry 2 years from now. And if he doesn't get 1,700, 1,800 yards this year, I will be very surprised. Expect him to put the ball in the end zone 18, 20 times as well. I don't care if he splits carries or not. He is that level of talent. Some people said by the end of their senior years, he was a better prospect than Giles-Harris, so we saw what he did in the national championship game.
Another true freshman coming out of nowhere to play big
exactly.
Landing our number 3 spot in our top ACC players of 2018 is Clelin Ferrell, guys, defensive end for Clemson.
Kind of take your pick of these next 3 players as to who you wanted at number 1. I went with the one who I think is the better college player. Ferrell had a lot of sacks and tackles for loss last year. I still think he's actually a little bit raw in spots. I have him 3rd among the Clemson defensive linemen. Again, you can take your pick. I think when it comes down to Ferrell, he probably should have gone pro. Like, I don't think he has as good as a year that he did last year. I think his numbers come back down to just a little bit.
This defensive line is just absurd.
It's unreal.
I mean, the size of him is coming off the end at 6'5", 265. You might see, I mean, that could even be a lower number at this point. He could be up there 280 time, 285 by the time he gets to the NFL draft. First-team All-American last year. Is coming back. He's going to be probably a multiple-time All-American. Those stats, the tackles for loss, sacks, how is he getting these stats? Well, he's got some teammates that are kind of keeping the heat off him from that offensive line. We'll see here coming up at 1 and 2.
And we got another Tiger coming up on our list, Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle for Clemson as well. They are just stacked this season. What do you guys want to see from Dabo Swinney's team in 2018?
It was the same deal as Clemson here, or as Ferrell. Like, he probably should have gone pro. Like, he's a little bit bigger guy. He's a little bit more of a run stuffer than Ferrell, and I think that's where the stats don't always show. Oh, doesn't have as many sacks, but he's dynamic against the run. I'm a huge fan of Christian Wilkins, and I think that had he gone pro, he would have been in the mix to be the first defensive tackle off the board. I think he would have gone in the 1st round. And in next year's class, by the way, James, you have an incredibly loaded group of defensive linemen that are going to head to the NFL, including the number 1 guy on our list.
Yeah, I mean, the number 1 guy, if you think we'll talk about these guys in the Big Ten, but like these guys, the defensive lineman coming back in 2018 is the best I've ever seen in my lifetime in college football. You've got all these sophomores going to be juniors in the Big Ten. You've got our friend down there, Houston, who's not even making this list. Ed Oliver, he's going to be a top 5 draft pick. Bosa, Gary, and then these guys at Clemson. This is an amazing year for defensive linemen.
All right, and landing that #1 spot of our top player in the ACC for 2018 is Dexter Lawrence, another defensive tackle for Clemson, you guys.
I think that Dexter Lawrence is a little bit overlooked because he is a bit of a run stuffer. He is 6'5", 340 pounds, but Dexter Lawrence is a monster. I know the stats don't always show it. I would not be surprised if next year Dexter Lawrence is the first Clemson defensive lineman taken in the NFL draft. He is incredible.
I mean, how do you run up the middle against Clemson? I mean, 6'5", 340, just clogging the middle. Basically, the best 3 linemen maybe in the country, Tom, are playing on the same team. I just don't even know what to think about that. And then to think about all the guys Clemson has coming in next year, it's not going to stop this Clemson, defensive lineman, just sack and tackle for loss training they've got going on. It's going to, Tom, one publication put them #1 because of these 3 guys coming back, surprisingly.
I understand why a little bit.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and recap the top ACC players for 2018 real quick. At #10, we got DeAndre Francois, followed by Giles Harris, Shaq Quarterman, Josh Jackson, and A.J. Dillon. Into the top 5, we've got Ryan Finley, Cam Akers, Clelin Ferrell, Christian Wilkins, and Dexter Lawrence. And there's the top 5 players that just missed the top 10.
Guys just missed the list. Any of them can get in for sure, but Kelly Bryant's the one that I think is the one that'll end up being on that list.